Every car on the road right now has a system built into it that most drivers never think about until it's too late. You don't admire the brakes when you pull into a parking spot. You don't thank them. You just use them, forget about them, and move on. But those four corners of friction and steel have been quietly teaching you everything you need to know about how to live. And you've been too busy looking at the road ahead to notice. Let's fix that. Lesson 1. Stopping is not failing. There's a reason new drivers panic when they need to brake hard. Somewhere deep in the instinct, stopping feels like losing momentum, like giving up, like the car behind you is going to win something you didn't realize was a competition. But braking is not the absence of progress. A Formula One car decelerating from 200 miles per hour into a chicane is doing some of the most sophisticated engineering in motorsport. The best drivers in the world are not just fast, they are exceptionally good at stopping. Knowing when to slow down, when to pause, when to pull back, that is a skill. The world will never tell you to rest. Every productivity guru and hustle culture apostle wants you to believe that deceleration is decay. It isn't. Stopping at the right moment is what keeps you from launching off the cliff that's sitting just past the corner you can't yet see. Lesson 2. The earlier you brake, the smoother the ride. Any halfway decent driving instructor will tell you the secret to smooth driving is braking early. Not emergency braking, not white-knuckle last-second stopping. Early pressure, gradual reduction, controlled deceleration. The passengers in your car don't spill their coffee. Nobody gets a seatbelt bruise. The car settles gently, and you arrive at the stop with grace rather than catastrophe. Now translate that to your actual life. Every problem you've ever had that became genuinely ugly, relationships, finances, health, career, had a warning sign you saw and ignored. A little early friction applied at the right moment costs almost nothing. Waiting until you absolutely have to stop is how you lock up the wheels and leave black marks on the road. Lesson 3. Worn brake pads make noise for a reason. Modern brake pads have a small metal tab built into them, a wear indicator. When the pad gets thin enough, that tab starts scraping against the rotor. It makes an incredibly irritating squealing sound every time you stop. It is deeply unpleasant and absolutely intentional. The entire point is that you cannot ignore it. Your body does this too. Fatigue, irritability, inability to concentrate, that low-grade sense that something is wrong without being able to name it, these are your wear indicators. The system is designed to be annoying enough that you act before the real damage begins. Most people respond by turning up the radio. They keep driving on the metal. And then they're standing at the mechanic with a bill that's 6 times what it would have been if they just listened to the squeal. Lesson 4. Different roads require different braking. You do not brake the same way on dry tarmac, wet tarmac, gravel, ice, or fresh snow. The same pressure that brings you to a controlled stop in perfect conditions will send you spinning on a slick road. Competent drivers know this. They read the surface. Wildly different circumstances because it worked before. The strategy that saved your last job might destroy your current relationship. The communication style that worked in your 20s might be exactly wrong at 40. Good judgment is not a fixed setting. It's calibration. Constant, ongoing calibration based on what's actually under you right now. Lesson 5. EBS exists because humans panic. Anti-lock braking systems were developed because humans, under extreme stress, do something that feels right and completely wrong. They stop the brake and flip. Locking the wheels does not stop a car faster. It stops the wheels from turning, which causes the car to plow straight ahead regardless of where you're pointing the steering. EBS pumps the brakes automatically, far faster than any human can, to maintain control. It overrides the panic response and does what actually works instead of what feels like it should work. Every area of your life needs an ABS equivalent. A system, a process, a person, a checklist that kicks in when you're too stressed to think straight. Because you will absolutely
violently stalk the bike at the worst possible moment. You are a human being, it is guaranteed. The people who understand this build sequels before the emergency arrives. Lesson 6. Maintenance is cheaper than fame. A brake job, new pads, new rotors, costs somewhere between $100 and $300 depending on where you live and what you drive. Ignore it long enough and you're replacing calipers, grinding rotors, potentially looking at brake line work, potentially looking at an accident and everything that comes after that. Every mechanic who has ever lived has had some version of this conversation. You could have come in 6 months ago for nothing, and instead you've turned this into everything. Your relationships, your body, your mental health, your finances, they all follow this exact same cost curve. Attention paid early is exponentially cheaper than repair paid later. Not slightly cheaper, exponentially. The math is not subtle. The math is in fact screaming. Here's the thing nobody tells you when you're learning to drive. The brakes are not there to stop you from going places. They are there so you can go places. Fast, confidently, on difficult roads in bad weather, because you trust that when you need to stop, you can. Freedom of movement depends entirely on the ability to stop safely. You don't get to go 120 miles per hour on the motorway if you can't trust your brakes. The boldness comes from the confidence in the stopping. That's not a metaphor that exists in addition to life. That is how life works. The people who move through the world with the most speed and confidence are not reckless. They have simply built, maintained, and deeply trusted their ability to stop. So check your brakes, and then figure out what that means for everything else.